Martin Luther King Jr., and as the official Martin Luther King Jr. holiday is tomorrow, we reflect on his position regarding health care. He stated, of all the forms of inequality, injustice in health care is the most shocking and inhumane.
Before
the passage of the Affordable Health Care Act, health care inequality based on race, gender, age, and disability existed and was growing. Minorities were charged more and were covered less. Women were charged more for health care. Older Americans were charged more, denied coverage because of pre-existing conditions. And those with disabilities were routinely denied coverage. The United States still does not provide universal coverage for basic health care, unlike the other major developed countries of the world, covering 66% of the population. The Affordable Care Act was the first step to providing health care coverage. Granted, it was a small step for some, but it was a step nonetheless, and Americans overwhelmingly support the provisions of the Affordable Care Act. Is that right?
Yes!
Okay. How many of you know that Governor Rick Scott wrote a letter this month to Congressional Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, urging him to repeal the Affordable Care Act? And to change Medicaid and Medicare. Governor Scott claims that the impact of Obamacare has been devastating in Florida and in our nation.
Ridiculous!
Ridiculous. How many of you have health care because of the Affordable Care Act?
I do!
Okay, see? How many of you like and have benefited from having children stay on your policies until they are 26 years old?
Yes!
How many of you like and have benefited from not being excluded for pre-existing conditions? Is Governor Scott correct in claiming that the impact of Obamacare has been devastating in Florida and the nation?
No!
Ask him to not his health care. Hell no!
Hell no! Lies!
We are here today to take a first stand in support of the Affordable Care Act and its provisions for our children, our sick, our disabled, our elderly, and ourselves. Please welcome here today both congressional representatives, the Honorable Stephanie Murphy for Congressional District, and also please welcome the Honorable Darren Soto. Orange, Osceola, and Polk counties. We are honored to have you join us here today.
Yes.
We're honored to have you all join us here today.
And proud of you.
Yes! You've already heard, and I want you to please welcome Miss Anna Escamani again.
Yes!
Also with us today, Miss Coy Jones, political organizer. And Miss Tiffany Elizabeth Naney.
Yay!
Yay! She's president of the Orange County Disability Caucus. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn it over now to Miss Stephanie Murphy. This is her district. And she's
today, but I have a couple questions I have for you. Do you think healthcare is a human right? Yes! Do you think reform is better than repeal? Yes! Will you join me in fighting to protect affordable healthcare for every American? Yes! It is so promising to see so many people here today because you care about the future of our country. Many of you supported my campaign this last November, and I can't thank you enough. We ran on putting Florida families first and on protecting access to health care. And we won because that's what Central Florida wants.
Yes.
The Affordable Care Plan Act isn't perfect, but to repeal it without a replacement is irresponsible. It's reckless. Repealing the ACA without a replacement would send our healthcare system into chaos. Thousands would lose health insurance. Premiums would skyrocket for everyone. Hospitals and medical centers and the jobs they create would be in jeopardy. So do we really want to go back to the days when pre-existing conditions meant you couldn't get coverage? No! Do we want to go back to a time when women were charged more for their health care services? No! Do we want to go back to letting health insurance companies cancel your coverage when you're sick? No! So then we've got a lot of work to do. And I promise you, I'll be doing my part in Congress. And in fact, my first action in Congress was to offer a motion that would protect the provisions in the Affordable Care Act that allows children to stay on their parents' health insurance until they're 26. I also voted against a bill that would have repealed the Affordable Care Act because there's no replacement offered. And until I see a replacement, because there is none.
They had 7 years! They had 7 years!
So I hope you'll join me in protecting our health care. I'm proud to join you. Let's organize, let's work hard, and let's never give up!
How's it going, Central Florida? I want to start with a really important story that many of you all may have heard about. I want to start with a very important story that many of you may have heard about this week. You know, Speaker Paul Ryan. Exactly. And the House Republicans began to face a difficult reality when they tried to seek repeal without replacement. And the messenger came from an unlikely source, one of their own. Arizona small businessman Jeff Jeans prefaced his question to Speaker Ryan at a recent CNN town hall meeting by saying, "Just like you, I was a Republican." Speaker Ryan began to grin because I think he believed that Mr. Jeans was a fellow opponent of the ACA. Mr. Jean went on to say that he had volunteered in 2 Republican campaigns for president and opposed the ACA so much that he told his wife he would close his business before complying with the health care law. That he would close his business rather than complying with the health care law. But then the story of Jeff Jean's opposition took a familiar turn like so many Americans. He was diagnosed with a very curable cancer and told that he had 6 weeks to live if he didn't start treatment immediately. You see, Mr. Jean didn't have sufficient coverage, and because of his pre-existing condition, he would have faced certain death for lack of treatment. With millions of Americans watching on CNN, he explained that the only reason he was alive today was because of an ACA program that offered coverage to people with pre-existing conditions. He said, I quote, "I am standing here today alive because of this act." As reported in the Washington Post, Mr. Jeans continued, "Being both a small business person and someone with pre-existing conditions, I rely on the Affordable Care Act to be able to purchase my own insurance. Why would you repeal the Affordable Care Act without a replacement?" And Speaker Ryan looked back dumbfounded. When Ryan began to equivocate, Mr. Jean interrupted him and thundered, "I want to thank President Obama from the bottom of my heart." You see, Mr. Jean's story is not just him. He's not alone in this. There are countless stories of Americans whose lives were saved by the ACA, and millions more are finally realizing that this much attacked law has made a real difference in countless lives. Now that there is an imminent threat, Americans are finally waking up. Are we waking up? To the fact that repeal without replacement equals disaster. Repeal without replacement equals disaster. What does it equal? Disaster. Chaos and disaster is what it equals. We cannot go back to a time when Americans with pre-existing conditions were refused health insurance. How many of you here had pre-existing conditions? Raise your hands and got health care under the ACA. Look at that. Look around, everybody. Look at how many people were saved because of our president, Barack Obama. We also can't go back to a time when young people were kicked off their health insurance after college rather than 26. How many young people got health insurance based upon their parents? Raise your hand.
And their parents. And my son.
And your parents. Millennials, we need you. Let me hear from the millennials. Come on, we need you here. And of course, we can't go back to the time when Americans would face bankruptcy if they had a major illness for lifetime caps. We won't let Americans go bankrupt for major illnesses. If you're with me, let me hear you. Say no. We must fight for these protections for all Americans and for the 30 million Americans with health care under the Act. If you have health care under this Act, under the plan, let me hear you. And if you believe we need to expand Medicaid and tell Rick Scott and the Republicans it's time to do the right thing, let me hear you. Make no mistake, we are under attack. This week, the House and Senate just passed budget language to defund the Act. Just note, it's to defund the Act, not remove it yet. Don't believe what you hear. And while this may seem like a major blow to our progress, and while these may seem like dark times, I urge you to take hope. Because the rhetoric of repealing Obamacare is colliding with the reality that the Republicans have no plan. They have no plan to replace health care rights for all Americans. They have no plan to keep, that's right, that's what I'm saying, have no plan to keep health insurance for over 30 million Americans. They have no plan. Let me hear you. They have no plan.
Shame.
And guess what?
Shame.
While you see this vote, the Republicans are currently descending into chaos. It was supposed to repeal this month. Then it's going to be in March. Then it's going to be next year. This is an opportunity for us to fight. This is not a foregone conclusion. If you're going to join the resistance and help wake up all Americans to what is going on, let me hear you. And tell the story of millions of Americans, of how this has saved millions of Americans' lives. Let me hear you. On Washington on Saturday and coming up to fight. Let me hear you. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is for all. And we will stand together and we will win. Thank you, everyone.
Please thank our congresspeople. If it's okay with you all, I'm going to give them permission to leave at any point because they're very busy people and they have other important things to do, okay? Is that all right? Continue on with our other speakers.
Thanks for being
For this one.
Hey, everybody! First of all, let me say this is so beautiful that all of you all took time out your Sunday to come out here and hear people and want to be active and do something about saving our healthcare system. I appreciate that, and I know the people that put